So we're continuing our exploration of these pranayama and meditation practices. So Saturday mornings we're dealing with the more vigorous heating practices, and we're going to do the same this morning. So we'll be continuing on from last week. There'll be some of it will be obviously recapping, and we'll take it nice and slow and just see how we get on. So to begin our session this morning, we're going to do a little work lying down. So just on Monday night session, we did the double up breath. But we're going to learn here the full yogic cycle, which is the up and down breath, but using the entire torso. So we do this so that we can train all of these muscles to help support our asana practice and also our meditation and breathwork practices. And we're also going to take very gentle inversions. So if you don't have them to hand, you'll need a strap and one or two cushions or pillows. So I use these meditation cushions. I'm going to have two of them. So this is for our inversion. It's a very gentle inversion. Again, just to help drive our breath and meditation practices. So as we go through the weeks, I am going to start drip feeding you some more of the philosophy and theory behind these practices. But in the beginning, for me, it's almost better to experience them first, because otherwise, they become conceptual, and then we get caught up in the what should be happening rather than what is happening. So let's use these first few sessions as an exploration, an inquiry, just to see how it affects your body. And then we can go a bit more into the philosophy and the ideas behind them. But we'll see. They often have a way of coming out anyway. So we'll see if they come through in the practice. Wonderful. So we'll lie down. We won't do too long lying down. It will just be a quick practice of the up and down breath so we can feel what a full yogic cycle of breath feels like. And then we'll have 5 or so minutes in our inversion, and then we'll come back to our seated. Just a disclaimer about these practices. So obviously, I think it says it in the blurb that if you have any problems with hypertension, any clotting issues, if you're pregnant, obviously that's a no-go. If you're menstruating, take it gently, but it's not such a problem. But these things, I'll give instruction as we come into it, but just be very gentle with yourself. The strokes can be quite quick, but you take 1 every 4. I'll go through that again, but it's just to remind you now to manage your body and your practice and any health concerns that you might have. Wonderful. Okay, enough yammering. Let's lie down on the mat. Take your cushions and your straps with you, and we'll start. If you don't have cushions, a yoga block is ideal. So coming to lie down, excuse me, on the mat. And for this, we'll take a shavasana posture, but you can also, if this isn't comfortable around your lower back, you can bend up the knees and have the knees knocking together, but preferably in a shavasana, so body as relaxed as possible. And backs of the hands to the floor, fingers gently curling in. If coming into this breath work, you'll find it easier to have your right hand gently pressing on the belly, left hand on the chest, then that's also okay. Just keep your elbows to the mat so that there's no tension in the body. So we want to just focus on the breath. But first things first, let's just let ourselves arrive on the mat. Let's take a global sense. What's going on in and around us? So the environment of the room, of the space we're in, but also the environment, the landscape of the body. How do they interact? Where are the edges? Are there any edges at all? So this is step 1 in drawing our awareness more fully into the body, into the present moment. Maybe for some of us, the first time we've allowed ourselves to stop this morning. And let's continue to refine our attention. So we'll take the inquiries, so starting with the physical body. This is muscle, bone, blood and skin. It's the organs, the eyeballs, the tongue, the ears. Any sensations at all. And let's try and not label them as beneficial or bad. They just are sensation. Every time we come to these practices, even a couple of times or 3 times a day, we are remade. We have a new physiology. So it's important to take a moment to acknowledge where we're at. And the next inquiry is the mind. So shape, texture, frequency of thought or image. And maybe the absence of thought or image. Or maybe noticing the probing of the inquiring mind. And then to the breath. So not just the mechanics of the breath, but the texture, the temperature, the feeling. Maybe for you it has a color. Are there any lumps or bumps? And then a step further, subtler still, is the sensation of the energetic body. So whatever that means to you will present differently for each of us. Maybe a tingle, a vibration, a hum, maybe a lightness, a lift, maybe nothing at all, and that's also fine. So the inquiry is the practice. So in yoga, this body that we inhabit is our gateway to meditation and eventually they say liberation from suffering. We just have to learn how to work with these tools to take each step as it comes. So first thing we need to learn is the breath. How do we manage, improve, increase the breath? So our full yogic cycle. So we start by inhaling, inflating the belly, then the sternum, lower chest, middle chest, upper chest, so the whole torso is inflated, but then we exhale from the collarbones first, then the upper chest, middle chest, lower chest, and finally the belly. So this is up and down now, not the double up. So I'll talk it through again. So we inhale, inflating the belly fully. Sternum, lower ribs, middle chest, upper chest, keeping it inflated but letting the air exit from the top first. So upper chest, middle chest, lower chest, sternum, finally the belly. I'll say that one more time. Inhale, inflating the belly. Sternum, lower ribs, middle chest, upper chest. And then exhaling from the collarbones, the upper chest, middle chest, lower chest, finally the belly down. So we're just going to spend a minute or so feeling this breath. So easier to perform than the double up wave, but as with the double up wave, making sure on the exhale to release any extra tension that gathers in the body. And noticing your body. So we'll all have different styles of breathing. So some of us belly breathers, some of us chest breathers. So we will find different parts of this breath more challenging. So say you feel restricted in the chest, give time to that part of the breath. Feel the softness as it inflates. It may be a small inflation, and then exhale again. So never trying to force in. We're not trying to, I want to say, blunderbuss our way into the body. We simply want to breathe. It's our most natural process. It has an inherent softness to it. So breathing the body open. So this is our full yogic cycle of breath, and it becomes important for our Bhastrika, which we'll come to a bit later. Wonderful. So we'll leave that one now. It's not too taxing. It feels different when we sit up, but we'll come to that. So now let's come for our inversion. So taking your one cushion or your both cushions, lifting up the bum, placing the cushions underneath, and resting the buttocks down. Wonderful. And the next thing we do is we extend the legs to the sky. This is why we need the strap. Placing the strap around the feet. And we simply want to let the feet, the hips, the pelvis be above the heart. So any inversion will do here. If you're a practiced yogi and you really feel called to do a headstand, a handstand, you're welcome to take these. So it forms part of the Viparit Karini, which means get upside down. Turn your world upside down. And nice, long, slow breath. So as we remain here, we're actively going to slow our breath down. If you can continue the full yogic cycle, so in belly up to the chest and then out from the chest first, then great. Preferably we're going to be breathing just through the nose and with Ujjayi engaged. So this will actually support the yogic breath. Gives you something to work against. So the legs above you should feel relatively relaxed. You shouldn't feel like you're doing too much work. You can also do this posture against the wall with the legs up the wall. It feels great. And the recommendation is to do 20 to 30 minutes of this. And in the Ayurvedic tradition, it's used as a cure-all. So for hormone imbalance, for treating almost any ailment, I tell you to do this. So if you can, continuing to slow the breath down. If it helps you to count, then you can count the inhale, count the exhale, making them even. And we're aiming towards 2 breaths per minute. But doing the length of breath that's comfortable to you. You don't want to be stressing your body here. Find your natural length of breath. We'll just have a couple more minutes. Wonderful. So we'll release the strap. And to come down, just place one sole of the foot to the mat and then the other, lifting off the cushions. And we'll just take a moment just to hug the knees up towards you. So we just did an arch of the lower back. So just counter that. Give the knees a bit of a hug. And then we're slowly going to make our way back to our comfortable seated meditation postures. Wonderful. So coming to sit nice and tall. So we want sense of ease across the pelvis, across the collarbones. And again, as we started, let's just take a moment to drop into this new posture. So our meditation postures can be full of concept, from previous experience. So we want to get to a point where every time we sit down, it's brand new. We want that sense of intrigue, curiosity. Like, what is this space right now? And the differences can be subtle. So firstly, taking a global sense, the space you're in, the air your body displaces, the blurring line between you and the outside world. Wonderful. So we're going to come into our embodied breathing, but this morning we're going to add this up and down breath, the full yogic cycle, continuing our training of this breath. So starting just with the tummy and chest, so we inhale, inflating belly, sternum, middle chest, upper chest. Exhaling from the sternum first, upper chest, middle chest, lower chest, finally belly. So let's find this rhythm, the up and down. Ujjayi engaged. And if you work with Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha, a 30% engagement, this will actually allow for greater control of the breath, the same as the Ujjayi does. And if you don't know what those terms are, please don't worry, we are going to get to those at another stage. We'll take some time going into them. Wonderful. So now established in the up and down breath, we'll start to refer to it as the full yogic breath. We're going to take in the rest of the organism, so seeing now how it affects your pelvis as you inhale, exhale. Out of which the spine sways. So building on the picture, not dropping the detail, but adding each body part. The chest broadens and opens, and then draws back and down. The shoulders rock forwards and back. The chin gently nods, and the weight shifts towards our hands and knees and back towards our seat. So every posture in yoga, in life, every moment, every breath moves you from the feet all the way to the crown of the head. Wonderful. So we're going to enter our Bhastrika breath. This is our bellows breath. And it is a full thoracic breath. So this full yogic cycle that we've learned, every bellows breath has these elements. So you inflate the belly, sternum, chest, and then exhale, chest, sternum, belly. When we do it at speed, it looks like just the chest is moving. So this is to differentiate it from Kapalbhati, which is very much a lower belly breath. So we'll take the bellows breath, we'll have our 5 rounds of 30 strokes. I will do my 30 strokes. You take the speed that fits you. And again, if you have any health concerns, take it very slow, leave rounds out when you need. And let's begin. Deep inhale, 30 strokes. And then slow breathing between the rounds. And then be curious, what effect does this have on your body? So we'll take our second round, 30 strokes, full yogic cycle. And then slow breathing, be curious what's happening. If you become dizzy, you can open your eyes. If you become too hot, we have 2 cooling techniques. One is to roll the tongue and force air in and out. The other is to grit your teeth and fake smile and breathe through the teeth. So you have these 2 at your disposal. Remembering the velocity I'm traveling at is mine, you take your own. Third round, deep inhale. Be curious, slow breathing. may notice your natural breath between rounds almost arrests. So this is a function of oxygenating the blood. The lungs don't feel the need to fill. So stay in that stillness if it's there. Don't force it, but rest there if it is there. Fourth round, let's go deep inhale. And be curious in the space in between. Remembering you have your cooling breaths, you have permission, give yourself permission to leave any sets out that don't serve you. It's your practice. Fifth and final round, deep inhale. And slow and natural breathing. If you wish, you can, when you need to breathe, take the yogic cycle. And we're going to have a break here, a pause here before we take our next exercise. So this is the space for us to make the inquiries. So you can come in your own time through physical body, mind, breath, energy body. So this is the second road marker on our journey this morning. And there is no right or wrong answer. There only is what is. What you experience is correct. And once you've made your inquiries, come back into the embodied breath with a full yogic cycle. And we're simply going to sit a few minutes in meditation. So often these practices would be practiced at greater velocity for longer periods of time and all squished together. But we're learning, we're inquiring, we're finding out what are the effects, what can we manage. So often as humans we have a desire to keep learning, to keep moving forward at pace, sometimes missing the lessons, the benefits. Just a reminder, the bandhas are on, so Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Ujjayi or Jalandhara Bandha. And then be embodied breath. So we don't want to end up just being daydreamy meditators. We want to be rooted in the present moment, in this body. we're going to move on to our next breath, which is Kapalbhati, our skull shining breath. So this is very much our lower belly beneath the, getting tongue-tied, below the navel, the lower belly contraction, forcing air out. It's a passive inhale, so this is no longer the full yogic cycle. So we're dropping that. So simply forcing air out of the nose from the belly. And again, taking the strokes at the level appropriate to your experience and your health. Being mindful not to push too hard, so these practices shouldn't make us feel anxious. So if they start to back off, give yourself permission to just sit and metabolize what happens. So we'll take 5 rounds of 30 strokes. Heart is lifted high, chin is gently dropped, so this is the cobra ready to strike posture for the spine. So this keeps the intention lifted. We're going to take a deep inhale and begin. And slow breathing. Again, you can take the inquiries, body, mind, breath, energy, body. And let your breath have its natural impulse. There may be pauses in the breath. Don't hold your breath, but follow what is naturally occurring. And again, be curious. Second round, deep inhale, heart lifted, chin gently dropped. And slow breathing. If the breath does arrest, even just for a moment, look into that space. Third round, heart lifted, chin gently tucked. And slow breathing. Fourth round, deep inhale, heart lift, chin gently tucked. And slow breathing. Again, just a reminder, we shouldn't concern ourselves with what we think should be happening. Just simply see what is happening. And then manage that accordingly. So we're going to take one final round. And this round, because there are different levels of practitioner here, you can take as many strokes as feels appropriate for you. So heart lifted, chin gently tucked. And when you're finished, no rush to finish, slow breathing. And you have the cooling breaths if you need. You have the inquiries if you want to check in. Otherwise, we'll just have a few minutes simply sitting in the embodied breath, seeing what happens. Wonderful. So into our next practice. And we're going to take Surya Bhedana. So this is our solar cycle. So the first thing this morning, calling to mind a visualization of the sun behind the navel, right in front of the spine. So trying to bring to mind this visualization with as much detail if you're familiar with the surface of the sun. It has sunspots, it has flares, there are even dark bits on its surface. So this is the solar energy center in the belly. So this is the next step in our practice. So Surya Bhedana, the solar cycle, will help us to charge up this center, which can fuel our practice, burn through karma and toxins. That's our third of our heating practices. So it's half of Nadi Shodhana. So index and middle finger between the eyebrows. We close the left nostril and inhale through the right nostril. Maintain the visualization. Close the right nostril, exhale left. Inhale right nostril. Exhale left. So we just keep repeating this breath. If for any reason you are feeling anxious or you're feeling too hot, then just do Nadi Shodhana, which is in left out right, in right out left. So that's alternate nostril, the traditional version. Just a reminder, the bandha is gently engaged, ujjayi gently engaged, visualization of the sun. So take the steps that you can handle. If the visualization is too much and you're losing the rest of the practice, then leave it out. You can add these steps slowly. Maybe you start to notice the exhale through the left nostril starting to get warmer. And if you're familiar with Nadi Shodhana, notice any difference in the experience of this practice in the body. And we should be maintaining our embodied breath so that we're not just nostrils and fingers. We are the entire organism, and the practice fits inside this being. Just have a couple more cycles. And when you're finished, ending on a left exhale, rest the right hand down, and we'll just have a couple of minutes with no instruction, just inquiring what's happening for you. Stay with the embodied breath so we don't drift off into daydreaming. We're very much here in this body, in this moment. take our next step and come to our meditation practice. So again, we're going to keep it nice and simple. As we breathe in now, we're going to inhale up the length of the spine to just above the heart. And as we exhale, we're going to send the breath also up the spine to just above the heart. So dealing with the biological spine, let's not worry about sushumnas and central channels. We'll add those later. So inhale up the spine, exhale up the spine. If you're practiced in the double up breath, then you can take this. So although we're dealing mainly with the breath in the spine, the entire body hinges on this and flexes and moves around the breath and the spine, the core of our being. And always following your body's instruction, if it feels more natural, to draw the breath all the way to the top of the spine, to the occiput, then you can also do that. Just above the heart is great. The work we've done up to this point is all about clearing out this central channel, to use that term, or the spine, we can call it the spine, to allow for this natural upflow. And we have these techniques to encourage the downward vital energy to turn directions and flow up. And it's this way that we can drive our practice. So those of you who are on winter retreat with us, we'll take the final step for this practice this morning. And you're welcome to stay here. There's plenty going on if you're unfamiliar. Just work with where we are. There is no rush. Otherwise, we're going to make the lotus mudra with our hands just in front of the heart. So this breath that we're drawing up the length of the spine, and the exhale that we're drawing up the length of the spine, driving the energy back up, can overflow from just above the heart and begin to fill the lotus. So we are plugged into an endless source of prana. So this lotus mudra forms our offering. And now the practice is yours. So as you feel, you can make offerings with your lotus in any way that seems fit to you. They are dedications, giving away. So often we learn to guard our heart for fear of being extinguished or damaged. Through our practice we can learn to be more open, more loving. And if you struggle with this point of the practice, take a step back, never push. If there's resistance, it's there for a reason. Maybe there's a block we haven't yet unblocked. It's a practice, it takes time. Give yourself permission to listen to your body, your intuition. And just notice any sensations that flow through you as you do this. This can bring up anything on the spectrum from joy and bliss to grief and sadness. And at both ends of the spectrum can be hard to hold in the body. So if the bliss or the joy is too much, back off. If the grief or sadness or anger is too much, again, back off. Don't overload. And if you're working with the offering practice, making this our last offering, there's no rush. Take it to completion, and only you will know when that is. And when you're ready, returning your hands to your thighs. Again, no rush, take your time. We'll have a few more breaths, breathing up the spine, exhaling up the spine. So never suddenly stopping this practice. Let it slowly ebb away. And as with the Bhastrika, the Kapalbhati, sit in the embodied breath in the space that opens up and see what's there for you. So as many people as there are on this call, that's how many different spaces there will be. There is no right answer, there only is what is. And slowly over the next few minutes, moving back to natural breathing, letting go of the spine and simply be the whole body breathing. So just a reminder, if you feel too up, as if your energy is bubbling over, Nadi Shuddhi is a really good grounding practice. You also have Alistair's blue vase breathing he taught us for I think it's the 9 yogas of Naropa, or maybe 5, I can't quite remember. So remembering you have grounding practices, you have to do what you need to do. Otherwise you can stay here just sitting in this space, and we'll have another few minutes. So we can take time to unpick our expectations of meditation. You know, I should be becoming more this or more that. And in those moments we miss the opportunity to deal with what's actually happening, and the body is sending up very clear messages often. And it's our job to hold the space, to metabolize them, take the message if it's comprehensible to us, and stay. And it's not always easy, you know. Attraction and aversion. We want a pleasant experience. We don't want a challenging one. But they both have equal value. Neither is better than the other. Wonderful. So everything we've done from the asana class this morning, all of these practices to now, is to open up this space for meditation. And as we get more practiced in our breath work, we'll have more time for this part of the practice. But now for this morning, we're going to draw our hands to heart center in prayer. And we'll seal our practice with 3 Oms. Deep inhale. And we draw our thumb knuckles to third eye center. Maybe just a couple of breaths connect back into the space of the heart, and we offer up our practice, making the dedication that we feel called to. And we bow that out and we say namaste. Thank you for our practice this morning. So taking a little stretch. So if you feel called to, now would be a great time to take another shavasana. So that's our integration in yoga. Always get to lie down, let the practice truly dissolve, come back to our space, feel the earth, the support.